Hey ladies, no, this is not episode 30, but don't worry, I have it already ready, queued up, good to go. I just had these things on my heart and in my mind that I felt were so much more important to discuss in lieu of what's going on in our world, in our country, in our states that we live in, with our kids, with our businesses. And I just felt it was important to bring them to the podcast. Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast with certified health and life coach, mom of four, and just all-around lover of all things 80s, your host, Jennifer D'Amato. Buckle in, let's get started. Now, my desire is still to keep the podcast as upbeat as possible, but I'm going to just be real. I'm not feeling upbeat, right? And I'm sure you can relate. It's not that I'm sitting in some negative Nancy mindset or constantly struggling with the high level of uncertainty that we're living in. However, when I sit with my thoughts and I acknowledge them, what I see is I'm vacillating between I'm okay, I'm just productive, I'm, keeping as much of my routine as possible, I'm producing what I need to, I'm meeting with clients, doing all the things. I'm actually getting a little bit more family time. I get to see my husband more, like, okay, I'm good. And then I'm not good. I feel that weight of the uncertainty. And I think what really struck a nerve that triggered this podcast was, of course, the news that came that, this is looking to go even longer, end of April. And it's not that I was surprised by that information. Like, there was no level of shock. I don't think anybody's shocked at this point. I don't think that's the emotion that's being triggered. Instead, it was almost like sadness. Sadness just overtook me because I carry the weight of myself, and how it affects me personally, my business. But there's also other humans I'm deeply connected to, my children, who I can tell the teenagers are really struggling without their, interactive friend time. They've done the Zoom calls, maybe some FaceTime, texting, but they're not getting that connection. And then I also think about my friends who are those high extroverts. They love being out and about. Sadness. That's really what I felt with that news. And I am a very huge advocate for self-awareness. So I am just sitting with my feelings, being really self-aware that I'm feeling sad, that I'm maybe, I'm a little frustrated. And I'm also just living in the place we all are, which is uncertainty. Now, I have fully admitted to being a sometimes I feel like a recovered control freak. I acknowledge my personality. Now, I'll tell you, for someone with my personality, this is hard. Like, I acknowledge we have no control over our circumstances in a general sense. I'm not talking about coronavirus, or if you're fancy, COVID-19. I'm not talking about that. I'm actually just talking about, in a general sense, our circumstances are the things, right? They're out of our control. Most often, it's something on the external. And for someone who does like to be able to have set routine, be able to have the control over what I accomplish in a day, what's happening, it's a challenge. It is a challenge because of the thoughts that come with the circumstances. Now, follow me here. Our circumstances are not the thing we can control. I cannot control what's happening in the world right now. I cannot control with social distancing and rules put upon us. I cannot control not being able to go out to dinner at a restaurant with my husband every single week. But what I do have control over is what I think about the situation. So I did acknowledge that yesterday what I was thinking was, this sucks. This is terrible. I hate this. And that what I'm feeling is sad and frustrated and uncertain. And then when I sit with those thoughts and with those feelings, I actually can do something about that. So what I decided to do was, first, this podcast. To just shift what I already had planned, again, the control person that I am, shift what I already had planned because I'm in control of that, and get my thoughts out. Come on here and share. I'm with you. I'm going through this too, but I'm also going to do another step. I'm going to say, okay, these are the thoughts I'm currently thinking. These are the feelings that I'm having because of those thoughts. And then I am going to make an active choice to shift them. That is a very self-aware process that it's not easy, right? It's actually easier, I believe, to look at the circumstances out of our control and just think and feel and just be in that place, that negative mindset and those negative feelings that I'm currently having, and just stay there. Not do anything. It is a choice, and it's a difficult choice to say, what do I want to think about this? What is it that I want to feel about what's going on right now? And choose that. Now, I'd love to tell you, it's like snap my fingers, boom, then I'm thinking and feeling new things. No, but I'm becoming very aware of what I want to think, what I want to be feeling. Because, go with me, those thoughts and feelings dictate your actions. They dictate what you're going to do next. And I don't want to sit on the couch, do nothing all day for every single day. Now, did that happen on Sunday? Yes, it did. I've been calling it Blur's Day every day, but it was a Sunday, and I didn't do anything highly productive other than some baking and cooking for my family. I just was sitting with these thoughts and feelings, the sadness, the frustration, the uncertainty, and just letting them be, and then having to make the choice today. What do I want to think? What I want to think about the fact that social distancing protocols are being extended to April 30th. Well, what I want to think is that I'm actually happy I get even more time with my husband. That honestly is the first thought that comes to my mind that I want to think. He and I are very busy. His work keeps him busy and oftentimes traveling, late night meetings. We don't get a lot of time, which is why we have a set date night every single Saturday. Pre-coronavirus. We don't have that right now. But we have been getting so much time together. I'm talking little moments like hugs and kisses throughout the day, which I am here for that. And then just hangout time, not like, oh, we're spent at the end of the day. We talk for a little bit, go to bed. No, like real time together. I love it. And what I want to do is focus on that thought, that to be my thought. I also am thinking, okay, how can this benefit my business? How can it benefit my podcast? What do I want to be thinking? What I want to think is I'm going to create another program for my business. Or I'm thinking, okay, I could record like more episodes than normal with some extra downtime for the podcast and just think how it's just crazy I can hit the easy button. And then from there, my feelings come with, I feel, even just talking about this, I feel more upbeat. I actually feel kind of excited about the prospects of that. I feel excited for what's coming next. Now, next might not be until May, June, I don't know. But I feel excited about what's next, even talking to you about it. I can tell the tone of my voice shifts. I'm actually feeling my heart rate go up a little bit. You can't see me right now, but my positioning, my arm movements are bigger just by shifting those thoughts. The circumstances haven't changed, but my thoughts and my feelings, the things I have complete control over, have changed. Now, let me tell you, it's going to be something I'm going to have to be very aware of. I'm going to have to practice. Yes, practice. I mean, I talk to myself all the time, but these things I have to really talk to myself because I'm practicing a new thought. I am practicing a new way of showing up in the same situation. So I might have to remind myself with verbal, just air words. I call it like they're just in front of me. I'm going to say them. I'm going to put them in front of me and see them. I might put them on my mirror. If you've followed me on social media, you know I love writing on the mirror and just putting something inspiring. And I have yet to take down the message on my full-length mirror that says, you can do hard things. You know why? Because right now this is hard and I can do hard things. I can get through this time. I can shift my thoughts. I can choose the feelings I want to be experiencing instead. That's a hard thing, but I can do it. I keep telling myself, if I can give up my office to my husband, y'all, seriously, I miss my office. If I can do that, gosh, I can do just about anything. If I can cook dinner almost every single night, my husband has been amazing. Like once a week, we're still grabbing some type of food and supporting local business. It just means so much to us to do that. But if I can do that, man, I can do anything. If I cannot teach on Sundays at our church, which, y'all, I love teaching. I love those kids. If I can not do that right now, I can do anything. I believe that. I believe I can do hard things. I can shift the thoughts and feelings. And I actually believe you have the power within you to do the same thing. What I always share with my clients when we have to shift our thoughts is go ahead, take a moment, turn your head, literally do this exercise. If you're driving while listening to this, don't do it. Turn your head so that you're starting to look behind you. And the reason is when we change position, it does something in our brain. So just go with me here. Turn your head back. And when you do that, I want you to actually be thinking of, bring to the forefront of your mind a time where you had gone through something really hard. Maybe for you, it was back in college and, deadlines and work. Maybe for you, it was a loss of a loved one. Maybe it was buying your first home, a loss of a job, and you made it through. I always go back for me when I turn my head, it was bringing that first baby home. Oh man, and she was a good baby. I was 25. I knew kids enough, but I knew nothing. Let's be honest. We all know that, right? Like you know nothing when you bring your own baby home. So I go back to that. And we had some tough times the first couple of weeks with our oldest. And I look back and when I turn my head, that's what I see. I see that 25-year-old version of me living in what at the time felt like the hardest time. And you know what? I came through it. And I came through it not just, barely made it through it. No, I came through that feeling successful, feeling amazing, feeling stronger, and feeling like I could do this again. I know, crazy thought, 3 kids after that. But I love to turn my head and go back to a time where something was really hard. And I made it through. Now, having that first baby and bringing her home and the challenges we had have nothing to do with our current situation. You know that. I know you know that. And the situation you have brought to mind when you turn your head and look has nothing to do probably with our current situation. However, it is the reminder that you can do hard things, that you have already overcome a time in your life that at the time you probably didn't think you'd come out on the other side as successful and strong as you did. So I like to do that as a reminder. It's like a spare tank that I keep. I always use this metaphor. My husband, when we were using the gas grill, always had a spare tank because inevitably we'd be grilling burgers or something and the tank would run out and he'd have to grab the spare one so we could still cook. We learned that the hard way. Those memories, those times I go back to that I've already come through, that's my spare tank. I tap into that to remind myself, you've done this. It doesn't look exactly like it does right now, but you have done this and you can do it again. That's what I'm going to choose. That's what I'm going to remind myself of. I'm going to put the words out there in front of me. I'm going to see them. I'm going to practice them. And I'm also going to take that quick look behind and go, wait, Jen, you've already done this. You've already been through a really tough thing and another tough thing and another tough thing. You've come through. You're here now. You can do this too. I really hope that blesses someone out there, that someone listening just needed that exercise to turn back, to tap into that spare, tank, as I say, or to put the words out there and choose the thoughts, the feelings you want to be having. I know it serves my clients, it serves me, and I believe in my heart it really will serve you. Give it a try. Take a moment, acknowledge your thoughts and your feelings you're having. Remember, you can't change the circumstances, but you can acknowledge, be self-aware where you are right now, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and then tell yourself, you have the choice to think and feel what you want. So maybe you need to write it out. What are you thinking? And what do you want to be thinking? What are you feeling? And what you want to be feeling? And then, sis, would you just remind yourself you've done hard things before. You will overcome. You will be stronger when this is over. I don't know when that'll be. As of today, as I'm recording this, it's March 30th, 2020. I know we're living in uncertainty. I know that. It could change. You and I know it could change by the end of the week again. It could change by the next Monday. But I know that I can change what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, no matter what the news is that comes out. I hope this helps you. I really do. I think about you all the time and how I can best serve you here on the podcast. I do want to remind you, I know a bunch of you grabbed the Wake Up Well checklist from episode 29. I know that sometimes just sticking in routine or establishing a new one, and gosh, do we just love checking things off and feeling accomplished in this uncertain time. That checklist is still available for you. I'm going to put the link to the blog in the show notes below so you can grab that. Maybe you are looking to come out of this having a new routine. And this is the time to start it. That's why I created this for you and why I felt very strongly that episode 29, though it had been recorded, probably a month before it was ever released, fit so well in this time. So if you haven't grabbed yours, click the show notes below, grab it, print it out, have it ready for you, make the changes you need to it so that you feel like you are establishing routine, waking up well, ending your day well. That's just my heart. If you feel that this episode is something your girlfriends need to hear, then please share the episode with them now. You can also leave a review of the podcast, of this episode, if you're listening on iTunes, or go ahead on the Instagram account for the podcast. Let me know you gave this one a listen. I want to give you a shout out right on Instagram as a thank you for listening. All right, ladies, until next week, be well. Hey, ladies, did you know that you can find this podcast on Instagram? Just search Health, Life, and More for Women and come follow along. You'll never miss when an episode is released or any of the behind the scenes fun that I'm having. I would also love if when you're listening, go ahead, tag the podcast, and I'll give you a shout out right on Instagram. If you're still struggling with knowing what to eat, if you're struggling with knowing, are you even hungry? Don't forget, I have a free ebook that I wrote just for you. Click the link in the show notes below or head to www.healthcoach4life.com. That's www.healthcoach4life.com. And don't worry, girl, I've got you covered for all the things you've ever needed. Just head to the show notes below. You'll find links to not only my free ebook, but I've provided links to all my social media platforms.